What's up, horror fiends? It's Sunday. You know what that means. The Horror Fiend TV podcast, episode 5. This is going to be talking about The Walking Dead, The Lucky Ones. Interesting episode today. Before we get started, Joe, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's up, everyone? I hope everyone enjoyed this week's episode. Also, before we logged on, I looked at the calendar. Granted, it's only in Canada,
Yeah.
but tomorrow is going to be Commonwealth Day.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, what? So yeah, tomorrow's Commonwealth Day in Canada.
We gotta, respect our Canadian brethren, and if it's Commonwealth Day there, it's gonna be Commonwealth Day here too, at least in Bridgeport. All right. Anyways, yes. So we're talking about The Lucky Ones. This episode is written by Vivian Se and directed by Tonya McKiernan. This episode, quickly, very interesting because a lot of moving parts, not a whole lot of action, but I think what was there was needed. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, no, it was a good. You had a lot going on in this one. Like this, I had to watch the episode twice. Just because there was so much that was going on, and I felt we had missed something last week, which was Max and Mercer being brother and sister. Didn't pick up on that until I watched this episode. I'm like, wait, what? How did I miss that last week?
So last week, we did kind of brush upon it really quickly, but we kind of missed it in the edit, unfortunately. But yes, if you case you missed it last week, it is revealed rather quickly in the opening, in the cold open of this episode, that Mercer and Max, which is her name now, the former Stephanie, the original Stephanie, they are brother and sister, which is an interesting dynamic because that was not in the comic book, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think so, right?
It wasn't. No,
No?
This was done for the show.
Cool. Well, let's start off with these guys, Max and Eugene. Let's just get them out the way real quick since they were the cold open. Max's explanation to Eugene, how did that resonate with you?
Well, I mean, it was interesting because I think she explains it, but you got to see it from her perspective, how she had viewed things. Mm-hmm. Like when we saw the other interactions in the earlier episode, we only saw it from Eugene's portion. So this is how she was seeing things, and then in the beginning, you had this whole montage with her finding all those parts to put that ham radio together. And I mean, I'm assuming a lot of time had gone by. Like it'd been months that they were talking, right?
Yeah, it was a few months.
Yeah, because I just remember that it seemed like as it went, she kept on looking just a little bit more different. And then you had Mercer
that
come
comes
in
into
and
play.
Find it.
That comes into play.
The Mercer coming in.
No, her appearance. You said she looked different.
Yeah, she started to change like differently. And then you had Mercer pop in and take her ham radio, but then that's how they, I guess, somehow I thought that they said that they listened in, so they knew about the other place now because of her.
Apparently, this is new, and on the second watch, I kind of got this a little better. I was always under the impression that I'm gonna call it Max, right? Max and Eugene, they had an agreement for the Commonwealth to meet with Alexandria. But the original agreement, which we didn't know until this episode, was it was supposed to be just Max, because she was saying like Mercer was like, you're gonna meet these strangers at a railroad, you know what I'm saying? And apparently the Commonwealth wasn't involved at all. So when they picked up on it, they ran with that. All right, you know what? Lance has this idea that involves Alexandria, Oceanside, and Hilltop, and he only got that information because pressing of Eugene.
Yeah,
with the fake Stephanie. So yeah, a lot of that stuff was cleared up a little better in this episode, I think.
It was, and I'm glad that they, because at first when I first watched it, I thought that she was kind of just being a little bit whiny about it, and then on second watch, I saw her perspective just a little bit better.
Me too. I agree.
I was glad that they were able to talk it out, work things out, and of course I know that right before they worked it out, Rosita got her little part, so showing up and talking to Eugene.
Let's get to that real quick. The Rosita part was interesting because, I'm keeping track. Rosita is the only cast member so far that's in every single episode since The Walking Dead came back so far. That's awesome. Usually she's like in 1 out of every 4, but she's been highlighted, and there's something she said here when Rosita is excited for the future. What's that say to you if you're a Walking Dead fan?
that she can see past, living a world without the walkers.
Well,
like she's actually like, for her, she believes in what the Commonwealth are doing.
And that's what worries me.
Yeah, like that,
mean.
She believes that, in what they're doing. So she's given into that thought. I mean, it's not a bad feeling, to be honest with you. I mean, if you think about it, all the years they've been out there, to have some kind of sense of normalcy would be good.
Yeah. So in prior videos, I've always mentioned this, for how Rosita she's good at everything. And this goes back to the episode, somewhere in season 7, I believe it was. Oh yeah, the penultimate episode of season 7, I believe, when Sasha ran into the compound, into the sanctuary, actually, running and gunning to kill Negan. She told Rosita that the group needs her, and before that, Rosita was talking about all these skills that she could acquire and how she acquires all these skills. And I've always said that Rosita is so valuable to this group because she could do everything. And I love that Eugene said it when she said, "Oh, I got a cop. I'm apparently a cop now."
But she kind of laughed at the fact. She was like, yeah. It was more like, "Can you believe I'm a cop?"
Exactly. And it followed up by, "And I'm pretty damn good at it." And Eugene says, "Rosita, you're pretty damn good at everything." And I'm like, yes, validated. It's just it's not just me being a fanboy. It's in writing now. It's in the show. She's good at everything. That's very valuable to have on your group. You know what I'm saying?
It is. But her character has always been that way. Her character has always wanted to jump in and learn things. Yep. Didn't she work at one of the hospitals too? Wasn't she like in one season? Wasn't she working as like helping out one of the doctors?
So Rosita's deal is, I don't remember that exactly, but yeah. You were talking about when she was in Alexandria. Yeah.
Seasons ago. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She's a chameleon. But she wants to learn everything. But if anything, she's just learning how to take care of herself.
What she does is, and this is before the apocalypse, she went from boyfriend to boyfriend. She would accumulate their skill set, whatever it was, whether it's a mechanic, electrical, carpenter, it doesn't matter what it was. She would get what she needed from them and move on, essentially. She talked to Sasha about that. Not that she did it on purpose to be evil, but she knew in order to survive, because of the way she was brought up and losing her mother at an early age and stuff like that, that's how she was going to get by. And those skills really, really come in handy in the zombie apocalypse, as we can see.
Oh, yeah.
So going back to Eugene now, I love Eugene and Rosita's relationship is really growing on me as far as their friendship. And I love the fact that it remained a friendship. In the comics, there were a couple. I never bought it, bro. Never bought it.
I still feel he's got a crush on her.
Yeah, I think he does.
I still feel that, if Rosita were to give him a chance, that he would totally jump on it.
100%.
Not meaning on it in that sense, but probably in that sense too.
But yeah, so I'm glad Eugene has Rosita at least to come for him. But to finish this off with Max, I like her character a lot, man. She's pretty much is Eugene. And and I love the way, they wrote that novel together essentially, and they kind of had the same ideas, and just to look at Eugene's face when he sees that, like, oh my God, like this is me essentially I'm talking to. How you feel about the relationship?
No, I like it too.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
And it's funny because in the last episode I kept repeating how much I feel like I'm Eugene. And when he talked about the manuscript, I'm like, I can totally see myself in a moment. I've actually done it. It's like in a moment of anger, I have, destroyed things, and then just, it's a way of kind of moving on. And when I saw him do it, and he said it, I'm like, son of a bitch. I gotta say again that I'm like him.
A typical Eugene is like, I know pretty much every text verbatim in my own head. He would. So let's go on to this right now. I said it last week. Lance was all over this episode with various characters. We're gonna start. Let's do Lance and Maggie. What do you say about that?
Okay,
cool with that.
Yeah,
Lance has his, and the reason why I brought him up first because I want to save him and Aaron for last. I think that's gonna be
okay.
So, fine. Aaron and Maggie, their conversation, even as soon as, Lance and Maggie, as soon as Lance approaches her. And he sits down and he's got that coin he's playing with.
He's doing
this is whole monologue. That gave me such governor vibes. And I don't mean Pamela Milton. I'm talking about Philip Blake, the governor.
Yeah, no, he's like he is starting to slowly. I've said it like this. And I think what I'm thinking is that it's not going to be Sebastian the antagonist. I think that Lance is going to be our.
You said it last
antagonist.
week.
I think that's where we're going because everybody's going to expect.
Yeah.
You know, that it's going to be Sebastian. But yeah, that interact. Well, like, as soon as she said it, she's like, nervous tick.
Nervous tick.
She was looking right at him, and, you know, he's walking, and he sat there, and, you know, but their interaction, yeah, he was like kind of cold.
But he made so much sense, in my opinion.
He does. I mean, but he's making sense because he's pitching you.
And he knows what to say, though.
He knows what to say. You know, and Maggie can see right through that, though.
The coin, and there was one shot where they emphasized the coin in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Then it slowly pans up to him and Maggie again. Was that is there any significance towards that, you think? Or because whenever they linger on anything, they want the eye to focus on that. So that has to come into play somewhere down the line, right?
Probably. Like, it's either going to be Maggie killing him and taking possession of that coin.
And maybe not the coin itself, but what it signifies, what it means.
Well, because it signified something to him, though.
Yes, exactly.
So it's a personal possession. Yeah. So if you take somebody down and you take their personal possession, you essentially take it as a trophy.
Yeah, I agree.
So it would be Maggie's trophy.
Yeah.
You know, going, I took care of Lance.
If we see the coin come back again, then I could see something like that happening. But that I wanted to bring up Maggie and Lance for that particular reason. The governor was all over that scene to me, just the way he was talking, the way he was trying to like manipulate her, but not manipulate her. And no, that's the wrong word. He's saying the right things essentially that she needs to hear. But at the same time, it's working on me. Like, damn,
it is manipulation, though. I mean, it's essentially just verbal manipulation.
Yeah.
You know, but she said one of the first things she says to him is, "What do you get out of this?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the other part that I noticed, though, is that after Maggie got up and walked away, when Lance was looking at her, Lance looked at her in the, oh shit, I'm gonna have to kill you.
Yes, when she walked away and the camera again lingered on Lance's reaction.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely supervillain vibes to me, man.
Oh yeah,
like, that was
that was him going, well, you're not gonna join. I'm gonna have to kill you because I need Hilltop, and you're in my way.
So yeah, let's go back to this. So, Lance and Pamela, they're a convoy, you want to say, with Mercer, and they're being, led by all their soldiers.
Escorted.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're going from community to community.
So they're being escorted. They're going to meet with Alexandria, Hilltop, and Oceanside, which came out of nowhere. I'm like, oh my god, Oceanside is alive.
I know. I was a little surprised to hear from them.
So, yeah. So that they're trying to get all the communities on board. This is Lance's project, by the way. It's not Pamela. It's Lance. Lance wants to get them all together, so they could all sort of like, work within themselves for trading and stuff like that, which is weird because you would think that the Commonwealth's been around this long on their own. Like, why would all of a sudden now they want to? And Pamela brought it up. We got everything. Why are we going to extend our resources and for But again, this is something.
But that's why. Like when they showed up to Alexandria to meet with Aaron, they were showing all the stuff that they've done there. So
that's true.
It's basically, yes, if we joined you guys, we still can produce. You guys aren't taking us in, and we're not going to deplete your resources. We can provide resources also. We just need some of your stuff. But yeah, that's why Aaron, if you look, Aaron was doing that. That's that when you find out that the boss is coming into the factory and that boss is walking around like, clean that up, like, making the presentation, like, and Aaron, I'm like, damn, he is awfully cleaned up and dressed. Like his clothes, he looked like a manager, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I think. Is they were trying. It's for them to show what their value to the Commonwealth is.
So happy you said that because I have a lot of experience in retail, and I could tell you when you got like a DM, like a district manager coming in for a visit. The way Aaron was acting, that's how management acts. Dude. So
that's what he was doing.
It was I
mean, shirt was all tucked in. I mean, I swear to God, the pants looked like they were even ironed.
And I love this scene altogether because of the fact that Mercer, when he was talking to Daryl, and he's asking him, "Oh, you were a leader here?" And Daryl's like, "Yeah, you could say that, but pretty much we all were." But I love hearing stuff about the past, like when Daryl is speaking to Pamela and Deanna Monroe.
I was
brought up. And I love how because Daryl, man, I don't know. I love this turnaround they're doing with his character, because when she brought up Deanna, Daryl was like, "Oh, you knew her?" And then when she brought up her, the relationship, with Deanna again, Daryl was like, she took us in, she gave us all this, she built all this for us for the future. I'm like, Daryl never talked like that. Daryl rarely ever said anything. So I'm glad, and you mentioned this before because Rick isn't here. Daryl's got the burden now. And I'm glad that he's opening up. Even when he sees Lydia again, the way he gives her that big hug and he hugs Maggie.
Well, he's softened up. He's no longer the loner. He realizes that he wants to be part of the group.
And not just that. I'm sorry.
Well, before we get to Maggie and Pamela's interaction, I did like one scene with Pamela right before she went to meet Oceanside, where she was sitting at the beach with her feet in the water.
I like that. I did like that. Yeah.
Like, it was just like this quiet moment, but it was, like you can see the look on her face. It was just this thing that she hadn't done in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've like this moment of everything feels normal, and then you got creepy. Like in Lance, and that's another. The cinematography was good in this one because she's in this calm moment. Also, you see Lance coming up from behind and just Pamela, and I'm just like, she's sitting there going, oh,
that's like if you're sitting there on your patio, nice beautiful day outside. All of a sudden, you see the dark clouds coming. Like, oh god, okay, time to go back in. It's gonna rain or some shit.
But then you had, and then because this was, that's what I'm saying. Before we go into the Maggie, because when she met with the leader of Oceanside, they were under the assumption that Maggie was going to be joining the Commonwealth, and turns out she told them she's not. So they said, unless Maggie's going to join, we're not going to join also.
Yeah.
So they have Alexandria, but now they lost Oceanside. And, then you had, again, Lance, the creepy interaction with Aaron.
Oh, my
pissed
God.
Off.
Aaron, he brought it back, though. He
did.
He's like,
but
what?
He looked like this episode, you're slowly seeing the veil lifting off of Lance.
Yes.
Because his plans are slowly falling apart, and he's kind of like me. His face doesn't seem to hide things well.
No.
And he's doing a good job, because when you see him
actor,
but then he talks.
Killing it. Josh Hamilton.
Josh Hamilton.
Killing it, because when Rachel told Pamela that what you just said, that they're with Hilltop and Hilltop's not in, they're not in. By the way, Rachel, that's the little girl who always gave the finger to Tara back when Tara first met. Yeah, she's grown up. Well, not the same actress, but the character grown up. Because I just find it weird. Of all the characters, she's the only one that's still around. But so the look on Lance's face though when they declined, Lance was like, "Oh shit." He quickly had to scramble. We gave Maggie the same offer, but she declined. Even when Maggie declined, in front of Lance and Pamela, the look on Lance's face, it just tells you a story. He doesn't got to say anything. This guy, like I said before, man, the perfect casting for Lance, because this character, for what they need out of him, he's nailing it. I mean, he's becoming quickly he's my favorite character right now. That whenever he's on screen, I'm glued. I need to know everything this guy thinks. I'm dissecting it. His mannerisms, his facials, his verbal, everything he's doing. I can't look away from.
Well, and that's why Maggie is picking up on, because Maggie looks at him when she's talking to him.
Yeah.
So Maggie's looking for what his face is going to say first before his mouth says it. I suffer from that. All the videos we do, you guys are talking. I'm like, I always make faces. And I'm like, shit, I said what I was going to say with my face. He does that.
Yeah.
So that's why, like I said, when I see him, I'm always looking to see what his face is going to say first. And then when he speaks, he's quick with the words. He's quick to come up with stuff.
This guy must have been a used car salesman or something, right?
He had to be in sales.
He got some retail experience, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's move on to Pamela and Maggie. Now, Pamela Milton and Maggie Reed. I think these are two strong women, strong leaders. Got the same ideologies, but they got different views on how to do things. Obviously, Maggie still believes in what they're doing, and Pamela, obviously, they believe in that higher hierarchy in a sense. Where do you fall on this? Where would you rather be? Would you rather be with Maggie in the Hilltop or in the Commonwealth?
Well, man,
this was
it's a tough
frustrating
question because honestly, it's because you're choosing to be an individual free of your whatever you want to do to being someone who has to, get a job.
Yeah, it's tough, dude.
You can't interact. So, like you like I get what Maggie's trying to do. And when they have their conversation, well, first of all, when Pamela gets to meet Maggie first, of course the show had to do it, but they come across like, somebody fighting off a bunch of walkers, and it's Maggie and her crew, and she walks up, she goes, "You must be Maggie."
Yeah.
So, I thought it was cool they kind of did it that way, but then it was like, well, it's a little bit like, okay, a little on the nose on it.
Yeah, I didn't like that scene too much because they went out of their way to hide Maggie's face and all the other characters, and like I don't understand why they did that, but I don't know. It
was just an ad for the scene, but yeah, I didn't think that should have been how they met.
No, because they wanted it to be like, that's Maggie. Yeah. I was like,
yeah,
that was why
Maggie kicking ass.
Yeah,
and then for this, like, so you said they're two powerful women. Like watching them, this was a my balls are bigger than your balls interaction with the two of them.
You nailed it, especially at the end of the scene.
Yeah,
I love that.
Well, because when they're sitting there having their conversation, and Pamela's, Maggie calls out how you live in this big house, and she's like, "Well, I do a lot."
Yeah.
And I stay up at night, everything costs something. She sits there and, like is trying to explain things, and Maggie has the same concerns as she does.
Yeah.
But, she lives like the rest of them do.
I love what Maggie said.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I love what Maggie said, because I just got reminded right now when you mentioned that, when she was like, I like people to look up to me for the stuff I've done, not for the stuff I have. And I think that's a very powerful statement right there.
And by Maggie, that's the other thing. By Maggie joining, you don't know where Maggie's going to have to do the Commonwealth. Well, right now she's a leader. There's no guaranteeing that she's going to be a leader, and especially since it would all be leading to Lance pretty much running, so she'd be under Lance. So she's already looking at, I wouldn't be here. And now that she wants to, I don't look at her as a power monger. She's looking out to take care of people. So if she joins the Commonwealth, she's just going to get lost. Whereas here, she's got people to rely on her.
Yeah, you're right about that. Absolutely. Because I think everyone, when they go to the Commonwealth, they're all going to be separated. And there's, like Rosita mentioned it, like there's really no freedom over there. You can't do what you want anymore. What they're already used to. But again, Maggie is in such a bad situation. Even like Diane, Walking Dead does this a lot. When Diane goes up to Maggie and says, "I'm leaving and others are coming with me. You should do the same." They took the most two random people. Like, who are these guys? And they don't look. They're not even actors. The one guy was just standing like, the real short guy with the bearded hair, like, extras. What are you doing? Like, put me on here. I could give you some better emotes than that. Like, come on. I
like
that.
Lydia. Like, if it would have been Lydia leaving with her, like that would have added to.
Because Lydia was
like basically, like you said, she's. Yeah, I'm like, all right, you can take those two.
Like, who the fuck are those guys? I don't care about them.
Yeah, exactly.
When she saw Daryl, from all people, taking orders from Mercer, I think that's what really was like, oh man, wait a minute, But I think Daryl's doing it for the kids. Daryl ain't doing it. Oh, I like this. Daryl's doing it all because RJ and Judith got a good thing going, and he wants the best for them, so he's playing along because of that. That's what I think. The show hasn't really said that. I think that's why Daryl's doing it, though, honestly, because
I probably agree, because it gives them a normal life instead of having to always live in fear. So you end up having another scene, though, while basically Lance is still trying to convince Pamela about bringing in Hilltop, and then their alarms are going off, and they're all going out there again. Another horde of walkers show up. Yeah. Mercer pulls out his knife. Well, it's funny. He pulls out his knife. He starts whacking away, then stands there and then calls him to shoot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, can you just call him to shoot? Like, but I guess you want to get that little cool scene with him,
Also, it's a comic moment, because in the comics, the axe was very, prominent for Mercer's character. And when I saw the axe he had it on the holster here when he was talking to Daryl, I noticed, I'm like, that's the fucking axe. And he used it in the prior episode too. But I guess here they really wanted him to, because that's like his weapon of choice,
Gotcha. But yeah, so after they basically help him out, then you have Pamela and Maggie. Maggie looking at everything, just watching. She sees Pamela and Lance talking to the other military people, and then when she tells her that she's not joining, and they asked her why, she used Pamela's own words against her, and says because everything caused something.
Yeah, that's true.
I knew but
you don't want to lose it.
Yeah, she used her own words against her, and that's why you saw Pamela's reaction when she used because they had that moment, and Pamela opened up and admitted, everything caused something.
Ezekiel. So he goes for a checkup. He gets told the news. He's to the top of the line now. He's going to get his surgery. And I love the way him and Jerry handled that at the time when Jerry waited for the doctors to walk away. Then he's like, yeah, dude. But Ezekiel's reaction was so genuine because I would have been the same way. Like, I'm not going to get excited right away. Well, hold on. I want to know the details, what's going on. Like he was, even when he was cooking and he's like days off somewhere, he's thinking like, what's going on? Carol walks in, tells him what happens. Well, he doesn't tell him, but Ezekiel read it off her, the way she responded to, his comments. He wasn't happy at first. And I knew he was going to go that route. And I understand why he went that route. But when what Carol said to him made a lot of sense. So real quick, what do you think about this little section of the story?
It was this episode where I finally figured out I knew he was dying, but I don't remember them saying what he was dying. I mean, listen, we watch a lot of shows and TVs and everything, so you can't remember every single thing you watch.
That's what I've been telling you that.
I didn't know it was cancer.
Yeah.
When he's like touching, I'm like, so that it's a tumor. So this episode finally let me know what it was that he was dying.
Oh yeah, they announced that back in season 10, early in season 10, early.
Well, see, and I just didn't pick up on it, and I'm like, it's right there. I didn't even pick up on that either.
It was he was talking to Sadiq about it when he opened up to Sadiq about having like thyroid cancer.
Oh,
that was it. Feels like ages ago right now because that's Sadiq. It feels like he's been dead forever.
Well, and what I took from it was that Ezekiel he's already made his peace that he was dying.
That's what I took from it too.
So I think that since he's already in a good place, so now he's got to survive. So now what? Well, I was just okay with dying. He gave away his shit. So,
not just that though. He also he spent time with a lot of sick patients, knowing that he got special treatment over them to bump him up. Now they're all gonna probably die. Not gonna make it. And plus, he said his debt was paid, and now, he's gonna have this over his head now. Like, okay, I'm alive, but how about all the people? Or how about the guy behind me that I took his spot? What if he doesn't survive? That's how Ezekiel's thinking. He doesn't want to. He's a very honorable man. I love Ezekiel, man.
Well, you still have to have some characters in here with some humanity left in
and
them, and he's one of the few that still has his humanity.
And Carol made a good point when she said that. Lesser men's been given this and done nothing with it.
Love that line. That was one of the best lines.
Lesser man.
Yeah. That was one of the best lines I heard I like the everything costs something line, but when he got to that line, like I'm sitting there going, it's so true.
Pamela Milton tells Lance, Commonwealth always comes first. Lance, I don't know how he takes it in his head at the time, but we know he goes out and he's like just shooting. I don't know if he was trying to get Walker's attention.
He wanted Walker's. Yeah,
that's what he wanted. So he was. Yeah.
He fired up just so that way the Walkers can hear the noise and have them come to him.
And the one thing between Lance and Pamela, unlike Alexandria, they're fighters. Like Lance didn't. He was hitting headshots from like miles away. It seemed.
Yeah.
Pamela is really good with her fucking shotgun. Oh my god, that shotgun to the head, bro. I love it. I love it. Give me more gore. Anyway, even though it's CGI, but it is what it is. But listen, so Lance is over popping shots. Aaron comes from behind. Aaron and Lance, you mentioned Daryl and Lance got something. Now, when Aaron had this time with Lance, it got me thinking, like, damn, what if it's Aaron? Lance is going to do something. We don't know yet. Again, the comics is different. So we're not talking based on what we read because Lance is a totally different character at this point. And he shot that one Walker at the end, boom. And see Aaron out of focus in the background, Lance in focus to gravitate towards him. So he's going to play a big role in something. Like I said, there's two big moments. He's going to play a role in either one of those moments. What did you get out of this? Like, that's what I got. I got out of it like, yo, Aaron might be one you got to look out for because of this.
Yeah, well, I mean, because as these, the Walkers are coming out, he's all pissed off with, Pamela's words to him. I mean, the whole episode is him trying to work out this deal, and it's all falling apart, in front of him. And so, actually, when he shot up and the walker started coming out, all I'm thinking was he's going, this bitch too. So the first one, Maggie.
Yeah.
The second walker, Pamela. So if the walkers that were coming out, those were all the ones that he's pissed off now.
You think that's I can see that.
I mean, he was pissed. He needed to let it out, and I mean, so that's what, like, that was him going out there, and when you're angry, you visualize what you're angry at to let out that frustration. So he
Good
popped
call.
the cap in Maggie. He popped the cap in Pamela.
Yeah, he did. That's
but then, and that's why. So then you're talking about, maybe leading up to it. Then you had poor Aaron kind of sitting there looking, and then the last one, he's talking to Aaron. He's like, pop, and Aaron's like, oh shit. Like, what did I agree with?
Yeah.
Like Maggie might be right.
Maggie might be right not to trust these people. I got a couple of notes here before we finish off here. It's funny because I laughed when Pamela told Max to cut Sebastian's credit cards off and tell the bank to stop giving him money. I'm like, what the? I'm still waiting for that skill. There's got to be one episode where they give us the full Commonwealth. They need to stress it for casual audiences. They need, and I'm glad they mentioned 50,000 people, because I guarantee you nobody knew that. A casual viewer probably thought it was like the Hilltop or Alexandria. No, 50,000 people living in this place, and they're not stressing that enough. And I'm glad they brought that up, but I still want to see the scale coming in. The other note I got real quick. Did you have anything else to add to that before?
It's something off. Like it's about, because you mentioned the soldiers. Their uniforms are starting to distract me.
Yeah. I love it though. I love them.
Here's the thing though. I started thinking about, maybe it's for protection, but I'm watching it, and the butt pieces and the cod,
cod piece.
Especially the butt piece. That's the part. Like, I'm like,
well, to me, honestly,
do you guys realize you guys have like literally plastic just on your ass right now?
Hey, but if a walker wants to bite your booty, bro, they ain't getting.
I thought about that. I know. I'm like, all right, well, they're just protecting their ass. They're protecting their good. But it is like, I'm watching it, and I'm like, I when they show them, I don't know why it's distracting me.
It is.
It's a little corny, but because it's like, it feel like they're like rip off stormtroopers.
How about this though? How about what if, and hear me out. What if somebody in the Commonwealth early on was a big fan of Star Wars? Let's say Star Wars existed. I'm pretty sure it did. It exists. They're big fans of it, and Pamela goes up to him, give me something with style, something that's gonna, like, just intimidate people. Okay, well, make them stormtroopers. I mean, what else can we do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, because it looks like stormtroopers, but
it's because of the white. I think that's what it is. So.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, like I said, a little off topic, but it was just that, especially in this episode when they kept on showing them and like the butt pieces. It was killing me.
In the comics, when I saw Mercer was like the only one that was in red, and I was like, oh, okay. But here, because in the comics it's black and white, you only saw him on the covers. Yeah. But here, I love it. The fact that he just stands out. Even Eugene mentioned, your big friend, the red uniform, that's your brother who doesn't like me. And my last note, Max. Max is name. In the comics, Pamela Milton has an assistant. Maxwell Hawkins is her assistant. Yeah. So, of course, they just took Max. Maxwell is shortened it to Max. And it's like a little comic homage right there. In case readers, or casual audiences if you're a casual fan, do yourself a favor. And if you're like really sad about the Walking Dead ending, go back and read the books. There's enough material in there that's different and good. And some of these characters are a lot better in the comics. But warn you right now, a lot of them are not. Like, there's a lot of characters that are way better in the show. I think the show has a higher percentage of better characters on screen than on page. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. With a few exceptions, but let's not digress into that. So, Joe, anything else you want to end off? Any notes before we wrap this up?
No, I'm good.
Awesome. I am good too. So join us back next week on the Horror Fiend TV podcast, episode 6. We are going to discuss the very next episode of The Walking Dead final season 11. It's called Warlords. Now, this one, I don't want to get too much into it, but my man Gabriel is finally coming back. He's in this next episode, and it looks like he plays a prominent role. We haven't seen him since No Other Way. And,
yeah, it's been a bit.
That's the one character. Oh man, I got my eyes on him because.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's gonna happen or not because Gabriel's already been gone by the time we're here, but man, his character progression, I am digging.
Oh, what do you rate the episode?
Yes, good call. This episode, I'm gonna give this one a 3.5. I give the last one a 3, and I loved it, but this episode again had a lot more characters in it, more pieces moving along. Not much action, but I mean, all right, you know what it is? I'm so desensitized to gore and violence on this show that this was nothing to me. You know, this was there just to show how weak Maggie's group was, and and they needed help, and to show who had the bigger balls, Pamela or Maggie. So it had its reasons, but it wasn't about that. It's about character moments, and I'm all for that. So I enjoyed it a little bit more than the Rogue element because of that. So I'm gonna go 3.5. Yeah, I think that's fair. What do you think?
I'm gonna give it a 4 just because of Lance. This episode was all Lance, was us watching Lance slowly falling apart to see the monster he's gonna become.
Absolutely, man. Yo, I said it before, Lance, other than Rosita, he's the one guy when he comes on screen, man. Like I'm like, oh, more Lance. Yes, he is in the next episode. He's in the next episode because I don't want to say no more. Cause I don't watch trailers. But when I watch this show, since I read the books, I do watch trailers for Walking Dead, But normally I don't watch trailers, but there's some people that don't at all. So I don't want to get too much into that, but yeah, awesome. Guys, thank you for joining us on another episode of Horror Fiend TV, the podcast covering The Walking Dead's final season. Thank you. Please like, share, subscribe to Horror Fiend TV. Come back for 3 Corners of Horror dropping every Tuesday, 8 o'clock. We got some special episodes coming up, and I hope you enjoy those, and as well as enjoy this podcast for The Walking Dead. I am Ricky Grimes. We have Joe. Yes, sir. Come back, guys. Stay scared.
Slim than chance with the averages. Sitting on the low like you added slick. Darkness make you disappear like a magic trick. Pull up to the table, come down and sit. These devils try to tie you the crown with it. Now you surrounded by counterfeits, trying to chop you up into 1,000 bits.